Today we're walking through, still walking through Luke, and we get to this story about Anna, a prophetess, and it's amazing. We've been talking about relationship with God, and it kind of lays out the story a little bit about how she was a virgin when she got married, and she was only married for 7 years, and then her husband died, and she was widowed, and she stayed a widow for the rest of her very long life, and it's amazing to me because a woman in that culture, in that time frame, that would have been a really hard thing to do, because she wouldn't have had any protection. She wouldn't have had any social standing or anything. But this woman was a very special woman, and I believe that's why she's in Luke, because what she did was she decided to devote her life to God and to serve in the temple, which, as far as I know, was kind of uncommon. And so we can assume she had a good relationship with God, just based on the fact that she was mentioned. But also based on the fact that for a woman to never remarry after a very short marriage, and to instead devote her life to fasting and prayer at the temple, and then guess where God puts people that have a relationship with Him? He puts them right in the midst of where they need to be every time. And that's what this story is about today. It's the same story as yesterday. It's the same story He's been telling since the beginning of Luke. He's telling a story about people that have decided that society's expectations don't matter. He's talking about people that have fully devoted followers, fully devoted lives of God, right? Because let's just backtrack a little bit. Let's think about Mary, right? Young girl, she hadn't lived a lot of life, but she was noticed by God, and she was given a very, very beautiful, very scary requirement, thing to do, which was carry God in her womb. That's incredible, right? So she must have been special. We don't know a lot about Mary, but she must have been something incredible. And then Joseph. Hey, bro, by the way, your girl's pregnant. But it's of God. So I'm going to need you to be okay with that. And he did. That's incredible. Okay? That's incredible. Let me just tell you. That's incredible. And not only did he keep her, he didn't have sex with her until after Jesus was born. He did the honorable thing. He kept her as his wife. They had more children. Beautiful story. And he did a pretty good job, because Jesus grew up to be a pretty good guy, Yes, he's God, but he still needed a dad here on earth, and Joseph was that guy. And then we get Simeon. Well, no, actually, no. Then we get Elizabeth. She was the wife of a priest. We get Elizabeth and Zacharias, right? And they are exceptional people as well. And then we get the shepherds. Why were the shepherds exceptional? Well, these were very specific ones. They were in charge of taking care of the sheep, making sure they were blemish free, which meant no bruises, no scrapes. So they were like babysitting these guys 24/7, caring for them in a very, very specific, very intense caring. For what purpose? For the express purpose of them being a acceptable sacrifice for the Lord. Sound familiar? So they're the next ones in this story. They get revelation. And now Anna. That's almost every group. We have a priest, we have a young person, we have a father, we have a shepherd, we have a prophet, and Simeon, which was a priest, I think. Right? Yeah. And so we have all the people. And specifically, we have a few people that are outcast people. Why am I even talking about this? Because it's important to know the distinction that I can have relationship with this world, but that puts me in this need to accommodate the rules of the world in such a way that I end up serving them. And so these people were kind of outside of that. They chose to take the ridicule of the world, because nobody in this story yet has been telling any kind of things that would have been socially acceptable to say or do. Not a single one. They are all doing socially unacceptable services to God. And so it's a distinction that is the foundation of the rest of the Bible. You know, there was a lot of rule following going on. Notice I didn't say law, because a lot of people tried the letter of the law thing, but then that ended up being the letter of the rules made by men. And so there's like this shifting that happens when you decide to follow Jesus, to serve Yahweh, you know, that requires change. His relationship, though, with you will make that change worth it. So if you find yourself wondering, how do I do this? You know, how do I live by what is taught in this book? How do I do it? How do I do it without ridicule? You don't. How do I do it without losing friends? You don't. How do I lose it and still keep those things that I just want to keep for myself? You don't. It's not possible. It's not a life of comfort. He does give us peace, and he does give us the comforts of life. I'm a great example of that. But it's not without the persecution, though. It's not without that. In fact, that's one of the first steps that you take before you get all this. You know, there's a sacrifice that I make daily to serve God, and it's not what most think it's going to be. It's that decision we were talking about yesterday. The saying yes preemptively, no matter what it makes me look like. No matter what popular opinion has of me. No matter what. When God says, you know, that thing that you're doing is causing you to fall, cut it off. Okay. There's a lot of that going on. A lot of that going on. There's a lot of things I have to say no to. And there's a lot of things I get to say yes to. And that's really, I feel like I've gone on too long. I'm having trouble with this one today. There's some videos that come easy. Some teachings come easy, and some others don't. And it doesn't matter. Because in the end, I'm only doing one thing. He said, go through this chapter by chapter with my people and just tell them what you think about it. Tell them what I give you. So here it is. Welcome to the journey.